What if I told you that, as you're watching this, an invisible language is whispering truths about your relationship, a dialect your mind has learned to ignore, but your spirit has never stopped speaking? A divine force is observing every move in your love life, every quiet choice, and every moment you feel that something is off, even if you can't quite name it. Have you ever felt that strange chill during a conversation with your partner? Or that sudden, hollow feeling, as if a part of you is screaming a message that your logic refuses to hear? The discovery you are about to make could shatter the foundations you've so carefully built. There is a brutal difference between simply being in a relationship and being in the right one, and sometimes the universe must use methods beyond our comprehension to show us the truth. You might be living in an illusion so well crafted that you've mistaken a prison for a home, routine for love, and convenience for calling. But your soul knows. It has always known. And right now, the signs are becoming impossible to disregard. Countless people spend years sleeping next to someone God never intended for their lives. Many love stories are merely tales of convenience disguised as destiny. Some relationships appear perfect on paper, but systematically crush the spiritual essence of those within them. The question that should haunt you is not whether you love this person, but whether this connection is part of the grand design for your existence. These next few minutes might be the most uncomfortable of your life or the most liberating. When God decides to reveal the truth of your situation, He doesn't ask for permission, He simply unveils it. And once you truly see, you can no longer pretend you are blind. If you feel a deep need to discover what your soul already understands, then subscribe to this channel right now, because this could be the very message you've been unknowingly waiting for. There comes a precise moment when silence becomes louder than any word. It's when you lie next to someone, yet feel an impassable chasm between you, not a physical gap, but something far deeper, as if your souls are speaking entirely different languages. You might try to convince yourself this is normal, that all couples face tough seasons. But there is a cruel distinction between weathering a storm together and realizing you were never in the same boat to begin with. When God is showing you that you're on the wrong path, He doesn't send earthquakes or emotional bombshells. Instead, He whispers through details that only an attentive soul can perceive. It's in the way you feel diminished when you should feel whole. It's in how your personal dreams begin to wither for no apparent reason. It's that inexplicable weight on your chest whenever you imagine a future with this person. Not the fear of commitment, but the profound recognition that something fundamental is misaligned. Have you ever noticed how certain people can drain your spiritual energy without even laying a hand on you? How, after some conversations, you feel emptied, as if a vital part of who you are was siphoned into an emotional black hole? This is no coincidence. It isn't just a matter of clashing personalities. This is your spirit reacting to a connection that goes against the very current of your existence. Certain relationships act as spiritual parasites. They feed on your light, your peace, and your divine connection, leaving behind an empty shell where your true self once resided. Perhaps the most unsettling sign, however, is how you've started becoming someone you don't even recognize in the mirror, not physically, but spiritually. Do you realize your prayers have changed? That your moments of gratitude have become scarce? That the natural link you once had with the sacred now feels obscured by a thick, cold fog? When a relationship is out of sync with God's plan for you, it doesn't just harm your earthly happiness, it actively interferes with your communication with the eternal. The most frightening truth is that you may have grown so accustomed to this disconnect that you've started to believe this is what love is supposed to feel like. You've accepted the lie that relationships are inherently a struggle, that peace is a luxury, and that feeling complete with someone is just for movies. But this is a fiction you've told yourself so many times it has become your reality. True love, the love chosen by God, shouldn't make you question your own sanity. It should remind you of who you truly are. There is a secret language known only to misaligned hearts, is the language of constant justification. You find yourself explaining away behaviors, both to yourself and to others. You rationalize why certain actions are acceptable, why hurtful words didn't mean what they sounded like, why a pattern of absence is normal. When you have to become the defense attorney for your own relationship, and your inner monologue turns into a courtroom where you constantly absolve actions your intuition condemns, that isn't love, it's a desperate negotiation with a reality your soul refuses to accept. What's most cruel is realizing how you've started shrinking. your own dreams to fit into the small space this person has left for you. This doesn't happen through direct prohibitions, but through a silent, steady erosion. That project you were passionate about it now seems out of reach. That place you dreamed of visiting, it sounds like a childish fantasy. That version of you who shined with purpose, she feels like a distant memory. The wrong relationship doesn't destroy your dreams all at once, starves them, slowly, until you forget they ever existed. A devastating phenomenon occurs when we persist in connections God has not blessed. We begin to attract the very things we fear. If you fear abandonment, the wrong relationship will make you feel abandoned even when you're together. If you fear not being enough, the wrong person will make you question your worth daily. If you fear loneliness, this partnership will become the most isolating experience of your life. It is as if the universe is screaming, "This is not for you," through the language of your own suffering. But maybe the most heartbreaking sign of all is when you realize you've stopped talking to God about the relationship, not because you're too happy to need guidance, but because, deep down, you already know His answer and you're not ready to hear it. Your prayers have become carefully edited, avoiding the one topic that needs the most divine light. You ask for peace, for strength to endure, but you avoid asking for clarity, for direction, for an honest answer about whether you should be where you are. This avoidance is a clear signal, for, as the scripture says, above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. Proverbs 4:23. You're not guarding your heart. You're hiding it from the only one who can truly heal it. The loneliness inside a relationship is unlike any other. It's a loneliness that carries guilt, because logically, you shouldn't feel this way. It brings confusion, because you have company, a shared routine, someone in your bed. But your soul remains an orphan, your spirit remains starved, and you keep searching for a connection that simply isn't there. The longer you try to force it, the deeper the wound becomes, damaging your ability to recognize true love when it finally arrives. There's a specific kind of exhaustion known only to those in the wrong relationship. It's not the physical fatigue from a long day, nor the mental drain from complex problems. It is the soul-deep weariness of pretending everything is fine when every fiber of your being screams that it isn't. It's the daily burden of having to convince yourself you chose correctly, of rewriting a love story your intuition rejects, of being the director, writer, and lead actor in a film you don't even want to watch. This fatigue settles so profoundly that you might mistake it for depression or a lack of purpose, when in fact, it is your soul begging for release from a prison of your own making. Spiritual manipulation is the slowest acting poison. It doesn't arrive with yelling or obvious aggression. It comes disguised as love, care, and protection. When someone uses your faith against you, when your beliefs become tools to keep you small, when your spirituality is twisted to justify control, you are being disconnected from your divine source. Some people learn to use scripture like handcuffs, and prayer like emotional blackmail, making you believe that to question the relationship is to question God Himself. But God would never use fear as the foundation for true love. This is why the Bible warns so clearly, do not be yoked together with unbelievers. For what do righteousness and wickedness have in common? Or what fellowship can light have with darkness? 2 Corinthians 6:14. This isn't just about belief, it's about spiritual harmony. Have your conversations become shallow? Can you spend hours together talking about everything except what truly matters? There's a vast difference between talking and communicating, between sharing time and sharing your soul. With the wrong person, deep conversations become minefields. Any attempt to touch on dreams, fears, or purpose is met with discomfort or a quick change of subject. The right person for you won't just tolerate your deepest layers, they will dive into them with you. The moment you realize you have begun to lie to God is devastating, not with obvious falsehoods, but with careful omissions and politically correct prayers that avoid the real pain. You give thanks for the relationship because you feel you should. You ask for blessings on something your soul doesn't recognize as a blessing. You feign gratitude for a connection that doesn't feed you. But God sees through the right words and the wrong intentions. He hears the silent scream behind your diplomatic prayers. The cruelest sign is living a double life, an external one where everything appears to work, where you're the admirable couple on social media, and an internal one where you feel like a stranger in your own story. This duality is not sustainable. A moment comes when the weight of the facade becomes heavier than the fear of the truth. It is precisely then that God intensifies the signs. knowing you are finally ready to see what was always there. There is a prayer you have never spoken, yet it beats in your heart every day. It's the prayer for the courage to see the truth, even if it shatters the illusion of safety you've built. Deep down, you know you are settling for crumbs of affection when God has prepared a banquet for you. You know you're accepting a lukewarm connection when your soul was made to burn with sacred fire alongside someone. This unspoken prayer echoes in every uncomfortable silence and restless night. Synchronicity begins to speak a language you can no longer ignore. Songs play with lyrics that seem written for you. Strangers' conversations carry messages meant for your ears. Bible verses leap from the page. Disturbing dreams show you scenarios your conscious mind rejects. When God decides to accelerate a revelation, He uses all of creation as His messenger. The entire universe conspires to show you what you already know but have not yet had the courage to admit. The suffering that comes from being in the wrong place with the wrong person is unique. It is a sterile suffering. It doesn't teach, it doesn't transform, and it doesn't bring you closer to God. It merely consumes and drains. It is the pain of stagnation, of resisting the divine current designed to carry you to your destiny. Your soul knows the difference, even when your mind still struggles to accept it. The most disturbing revelation is that you weren't just in the wrong relationship, you were being the wrong person within it. You were molding, adapting, shrinking, or puffing yourself up to fit a space never meant for you. Losing essential pieces of yourself in a desperate attempt to fix something that was born broken. The right person for your life will not require you to become someone else. They will awaken the person you always were but had forgotten how to be. These signs don't stop, because God's love for you never stops. Every unsettling coincidence, every moment of sudden clarity, every inexplicable chill is divine love manifesting as truth. Even if that truth is painful, even if it requires a courage you don't think you possess, God would rather see you temporarily uncomfortable in the truth than permanently lost in a lie. There is a scripture that haunts those living outside the divine plan. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future. Jeremiah 29:11. How many times have you tried to convince God that your choice was the right one? How many of your prayers became desperate negotiations, asking Him to bless something He never approved? There's a stark difference between asking God to bless your plans and discovering God's plan for you in the wrong relationship. That difference is a constant source of spiritual turbulence. The most profound disruption occurs when your loved ones, your children, close friends, or family notice that you've changed, and not for the better. They can't pinpoint it, but they sense a shift in your energy, your joy, your peace. When the people who love you most express genuine concern, it might be time to stop defending your choices and start questioning them. The most terrifying moment is when you finally admit you knew all along. The signs were always there, your intuition never lied, and God never stopped speaking. You just stopped listening because the truth was too inconvenient. Part of you always knew you were forcing what should have flowed, building what should have been born naturally, and fighting for what should have been a gift. That admission is both devastating and freeing, because it means you can finally stop wasting precious time. A holy silence precedes all great transformations. It's the quiet of divine preparation. It may feel like abandonment, but it is the moment God is most active behind the scenes of your life. You can feel it, an unexplainable tension in the air, a sense that something monumental is about to shift in your love life. The most shocking discovery is that your fear isn't about being alone. It's about finding out who you are when you're no longer trying to be what someone else needs. The solitude you dread might be the exact sacred space your soul needs to reconnect with its deepest truth. You will discover that it is impossible to be truly empty when you are in real communion with the Creator. The signs intensify because time is running out, not on your life, but on God's tolerance for your resistance. He is patient, but He is also zealous for your destiny. He will not eternally allow you to waste the purpose He placed within you for a connection that keeps you from your potential. Deliverance will not come from a difficult conversation or a rational decision. It will come through a complete surrender to God's will. It takes supernatural courage to release what feels safe, to embrace what feels uncertain. That is the nature of true faith. When you finally stop fighting the divine current, you will find that the river always knew the way to the ocean. The most beautiful promise is that on the other side of this painful obedience, a love awaits that you didn't even know was possible. Because when you allow God to heal your broken patterns, He doesn't just give you someone better, He transforms you into someone better. And that healed, whole person, aligned with divine purpose, will naturally attract the one specifically prepared to walk beside them. The deepest echo for those who have watched this far is not about relationships, it's about courage. The courage to honor what your soul has always known. You may have just realized you're not just watching a video about sins, you are living through a moment of revelation. The most freeing truth is that you don't need all the answers right now. You just need enough courage to ask the next right question, not to your partner, but to God. The conversation you've been avoiding with the Creator is the one that will change everything. In the end, it's not about being in the perfect relationship, it's about being perfectly aligned with the will of the One who created you to love and be loved fully. Don't let your story be one of spending decades being faithful to the wrong person. The signs are no longer whispers, they are cries of mercy from a God who loves you too much to leave you in a mediocre love that fails to reflect His glory. What will you do with what you've discovered about yourself today? This is an invitation to the most sacred act of faith. If this message has touched you, don't keep it to yourself. Like this video, share it with someone who needs this truth, and comment below how God is speaking to you. And subscribe, because whoever was ready for a word this deep is ready for the even greater revelations to come. Your true love story begins the moment you stop negotiating with God